folks, we got a great interview for you this episode as well. We talked about Dave Razzano. He's making some signings for the Bandits. Well, one of those signings came up recently, and we got a nice chance to talk with him. It is Darrell Adams Jr., tight end, formerly a receiver, coming from Azusa Pacific College. Also played out there in Austria in the AFL for the Graz Giants. So pretty unique conversation. For those that know me, I love my international scene of football. So this one I looked very much forward to. And he's got quite the story and journey as to how he got to this stage and what he expects to do in the Bandits offense. Take a listen here on this recent interview I have with Darrell. Welcoming everybody into the latest edition of the USFL podcast one-on-one interview series, bringing you some of the folks from around the league, players, personnel, you name it. I sit down with them and bring it on to you for our editions of the USFL podcast. Joining me this week for this episode here on the USFL Podcasts interview series, I bring in a brand new signing for the Tampa Bay Bandits, one that will be playing at the tight end spot, and somebody who's been playing overseas and making quite an impact before coming over here for Tampa Bay and joining Todd Haley's roster. It is Darrell Adams Jr., who is a grad from Azusa Pacific and also played for the Graz Giants in the AFL. Darrell, welcome aboard the show. First off, just want to say congrats on your signing. Glad to have you in the league.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's great to see you joining up here. And look, there's a lot of hype around you getting signed here. And I had a few buddies of mine say, you got to check out this kid and see what he's done. And I'll say the highlights speak for themselves. I want to kind of just might as well just jump in. You're coming over from the Austrian Football League. You grew up here, of course, in America. You're one of the folks that internationally went abroad and got a chance to be one of those international spots on a team out there in one of those leagues. Tell us about the AFL, your experience. You've been there. You've done 2 years out there, from what I can tell.
Yes.
So how was time out there in the Austrian Football League?
Well, it's a culture shock to begin with.
Okay.
But I would say it really helped me grow, not just as a person, but as an athlete, because, in that environment, in that situation, you're kind of alone, right? You go out there, you're unfamiliar with the culture, with the territory. And so you have to take it personally as a challenge. You come there, you travel all those, thousands of miles to perform, and you want to put on a show. You want to show why you're an American import, as they call it. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that was my plan since I stepped off the plane. I had a chip on my shoulder, and I said, I'm gonna prove that, I am better than anybody that you line up in front of me, and I will rise to the occasion, and I will be the best version of myself. And so that's what I really focused on, maintaining my strength, working out, still putting in that work with my offense coordinator, with our quarterback, and so forth like that, getting extra work. And then, coaching as well, helping out with the youth. It really elevated my game because, I realized I had people looking up to me. A lot of the youth players and stuff, they were very supportive at the games. And this, of course, you want to put on the show for the fans. And, it was a very supportive cast around it. So I just enjoyed it. And again, I knew the plays would happen. I just had to continue to put in the work like I did all my life.
Yeah, I'd like to, if you don't mind, care to elaborate, because I think a lot of people don't realize when you go over to the international side of this, when you go across the pond, not saying Canada, I'm talking you go to Europe, you go, at least those countries out there. A lot of those are club leagues, unless you're the ELF. And a lot of times you are kind of like you're the ambassador of the sport, and you're kind of, you're teaching up basically people that want to see what American football is all about.
Right. So I would say with that, again, it becomes a standard. You have to hold yourself accountable, and you have to understand the weight and the pressure that, it comes with it. There's already pressures of just playing sports and wanting to play at a high level. But when you go, there's a certain expectation. Okay, he is an American import, so we want to see that he's more athletic, he's more fast, he's more physical than everyone around him, and you have to live up to that. And so for me, I always believed that internally that I was that. And so it wasn't a hard shift to just go over there and play my own game. And I feel like that's why I was so successful, because, I stayed true to who I am and what I always have believed about myself. And, but yeah, there is a lot of high expectations being an American import.
Mm-hmm. What can you tell me about your quarterback, Connor Miller? American Football International listed you guys as arguably the best in 2021, that is, as the best receiver quarterback duo in the AFL. What does that connection with him for you help you in terms of how you were able to bring the best possible you to the table?
Well, we just had a good, I would say, a triangle relationship where it was me, him, and our offense coordinator every day in meetings. I mean, I kid you not, at least 5 to 6 hours a day. We were watching film, game planning, trying to strategize of ways that I could get the ball, ways that, he can give me the ball, and scheming against different opponents. And so when you have that work that's being put in behind the scenes, and you have a guy who's willing to go out and do that with you, it makes on the field, gameplay very easy. And so I would say with Connor, the relationship really was built off of the field work that we put in, because on top of running routes and doing all that, we just were trying to be students of the game, and we studied each other, and we, once we learned each other tendencies, where ball placement for him and how run my routes, and at what depth I would be at, and certain things like that, it made it a lot more easy on the field, let's say. And so it's just kudos to him as a quarterback, and my offense coordinator as well, Brendan Gorsuch. He really is a mastermind. That he said, okay, I'm gonna take Connor, I'm gonna take you, I see what you can do, I see what he can do, and let's try to make it fit for this offense. And so it was just a great situation overall.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it definitely, that was a dynamite duo between you guys. So I definitely, I've been watching highlights. I've been, it's dazzling. I can understand how that, helps propel. And, the work clearly was being shown off on the field, at least in terms of what you were doing practicing off field. I want to take a step back in terms just before we go to the USFL and kind of just ask you some stuff, because I don't want to miss this part. Your journey, even just to get to the AFL. I had a 925 sports, I believe it was. I had read up a piece that they had done on you. Just kind of your high school to college journey is something that really I think is fascinating, definitely worth telling. I mean, from what I understand, you met multiple scouting events. You had an unfortunate situation with sitting out a season, but you still were getting offers for D1 schools, like in the Pac-12. I mean, care to elaborate? I think people would love to hear your story, just kind of going through the college scene just to even get here.
Right. Well, it's been a reoccurrence scenario where all my life I was kind of the underdog, and I always had to fight to prove my belonging, especially coming from Oakland. It's rough, and it's a city where the odds are stacked against you. And so, a lot of praise to my mother for just the way she brought me up to be very resilient and persevering. And so in high school, of course, I transferred after my sophomore year from Foothill High School in Pleasanton, California, to Stellar Prep in Oakland. And everybody was like, why would you do that? Foothill High School is this, big D1 high school where you got other prospects like Isaiah Langley and recruits, and these guys, they're big names. And so a lot of people were confused as to why I did it, and questioned me on it. I trusted my gut. I believe that, again, when all odds are against you, you have to depend on yourself. You have to rely on yourself. And so that's what I tried to do. I put my head down and I worked hard. And my new head coach, Desmond Gums, at the time, he made sure, I said I want to be the best version of myself at that time. And he said, okay, then we're going to work you like it. And we're going to make sure you're in front of as many eyes as possible. And so he did a great job as far as getting me to all the camps, everything like that, introducing me to a lot of coaches and scouts. And so all I had to do was perform. And again, when you're playing with that chip on your shoulder and you're a competitor, I love competing. And I know whatever environment I am, and I'm gonna rise to that occasion because that's what competitors do. And so for me, it was no issue to go from a different school and make the transition and still play the same game that I'm accustomed to playing. And I would say, so after that, yeah, I had to sit out my junior year due to transfer rules. And so that was tough because, your junior year, they always tell you that's the most important time for recruitment. And again, my head coach just made sure that even though I didn't get to play that season, that I was in front of as many eyes as possible. And, it was even one time where we made a day trip from San Diego back to Oakland, all in the same day. We drove there and back just so that I could go to the San Diego State camp, and on top of that, it was like an hour and a half commute to school because I was still living in Pleasanton. So it was just intense. And, I feel like that type of struggle, I call it, or whatever, it builds character. It builds that poise, what you need and what you will face in football, in the game of football. It's a lot of ups, it's a lot of downs, but it's never about where you're at, it's where you're going. That's the way I look at it. And so, once that happened again, I kept working and I got my first offer to Arizona State University, and other offers followed after that. And so it was just a nice feeling to see those, offers come in and your hard work kind of pay off. And then Azusa came along. I took a visit there, and it was just a different atmosphere, a different environment. And I knew, it wasn't Division I. It was D2, but I felt like it's a place I could call home. And again, I'm so big on growth and development, as not just as a player, but as a human. Because again, it's not just what you do on the field, it's what you do off the field. And when you're pushed into that role of being this star athlete, you have a responsibility to carry yourself the correct way. And so I felt like Azusa Pacific would have, allowed me to do that, which it did. It definitely molded me and shaped me into a better man. And so, I feel like God's purpose, and from that standpoint, was what it was and what it was meant to be. And, it just kind of sucked that my year coming out of college, that COVID hit, because of course we had our pro day coming up. And, I was invited to a couple of pro days with the Raiders, with the Packers and Chargers, and they were all canceled because of COVID. So again, it was another situation that I never got to be in front of, the eyes that I needed to be. And so my mindset, for a couple of months, I was down. I was very disappointed because I really wanted that shot, and my ultimate goal is to make it to the NFL. And so, I got down with myself. And again, at the moments when I'm always at my lowest, my mother always came, by my side and just told me to keep going. And, trust the process and it will work out. And so that's what I did. Kept working, got back connected with my personal trainer, Victor James. And we got back at it, got back in the gym, got back in the field. And then I was like, okay, well, an opportunity came where Graz was like, we'll offer you to come play over here. And I knew nothing at the time about playing ball overseas. I didn't even know it was a thing. And so when that opportunity was like, I have a love for the game of football. So however I can play the game, wherever I can play, I'm going to play it. And I'm going to prove to you why I shouldn't even be here, why I should be somewhere else. And so that was the approach I took from the moment I signed the contract. And from that moment, it worked in my favor. And so I was just fortunate enough to have like a good quarterback like Connor, and have a offense coordinator who was willing to, give me the ball, put me in the right positions, and, really scheme for me. And so any highlights, any stats and stuff like that you see, it's not just me. It was other things behind the scene.
Yeah. Sometimes the road less travel, it sounds like, is maybe the right option.
Right. Yeah.
And
very much so.
And I think something I think we always talk about. I don't usually, I don't always talk about this is, maybe, sure, you get an offer, but that doesn't mean it's the right choice for you,
Right.
Like maybe you see something you want, and that's, your decision comes first, of course, and so I completely understand that, and how that path is. And I mean, you're still here now, Even
Exactly.
with some of the adversity of the COVID issues with canceled tryouts, canceled workouts, and things like that. That's got to be fantastic. Something I got to ask. I mean, how did Graz reach out to you? Do you have an agent? Do they just they email you? Someone meet up with you in person, happeningly, or?
So I was in once I had that talk with my mom, I was in grind mode. Once actually my former college quarterback, Chad Jeffries, he graduated when I was a sophomore at Azusa. He went to go play over in Europe and Germany at the time. And right before I went, about 2 months before, he was like, dude, you need to still be playing football. He was like, look, you can come play ball over here. Here's the website, europlayers.com. You create your profile, do all that. And man, he said, some team is going to reach out to you and want you. And so I create the profile that same, like an hour later, put my stats up and everything from college and so forth. And then I just started reaching out to as many teams as I could. I mean, easily over, it's a lot of teams. I reached out to at least 100 plus, like just, hey, my name is this, this, and this. I play here. I'm willing to work, whatever the case may be. And then a lot of teams were like, they didn't know much about me. They were like, you got good film, but who are you? So forth like that. And so, when Graz came and was like, we're interested in signing you. We believe, that you can be the guy to help this team, this organization. And I just jumped right on it. And after having my Zoom meeting with the head coach at the time and the OC, I was like, I'm sold. I was like, this is a place where I can go, and I know that I'm going to become a better athlete, that I can be tested upon how much I am loyal and committed to this game, and that I can just work hard and really be brought upon a new journey. And so, europlayers.com for any athletes out there who want to continue playing ball, europlayers.com. You just make a profile and some team will give you a shot.
Yeah, that is a good resource. I can definitely back that up from talking with others for sure. And I'll great shout out to this. If anything, I'll make sure we link that in our video description and also in our tweets and social media, because it is a good one. I mean, it is a constant source for those club leagues or even the ELF. Out even beyond that, I know I think even some Japanese teams might use that as reference if they want to pull from Europe. So, and if you trust me, if you want to go up and up, Japan's kind of like that tier 3 kind of bull, even right there. So you don't want to miss out on that either. But yeah, that's a great resource. So good stuff. And I mean, look, it led to you having some awesome seasons out there in Austria. And now you're going to be in the USFL in 2023. And I want to dive into this. You're going to be with Todd Haley, and also with newly signed general manager Dave Razzano's squad. When did they reach out to you? What was the process like? And also, I noticed you are going to be listed as a tight end. Where's the change coming in?
The change is because, I feel like, again, I'm a guy who you put me in a scheme, however I can create mismatches for defenses. That's what I want to do. So I just want to be used I want to be a threat on the field. And so, if I can be, the more I make myself valuable as a weapon, that you can just give me the ball, you can plug me anywhere, and I'm gonna make something happen. The more successful and the more eyes that the more I get noticed. And so that was the thing that where me and my agent Vince, we talked about it, like this might be the move. You're a standout wide receiver. Again, you have the stats, but at the same time, if we put you at tight end because you're a bigger receiver, it will be, a lot of mismatches. And so I was like, you know what? I'm all for it. I'm not against it at all. Whatever can give me the best shot to go to the league, that's what I'll do. And so the transition was pretty easy because, most of the things that I had to practice on was the blocking and just getting really, really technical sound with that. And I've been doing that for about 2 months now since I made the switch. And I've been working with some great guys that's been teaching me a lot, watching a lot of film on other great tight ends in the league right now, such as Travis Kelce and George Kittle and, Kyle Pitts. And so I'm really studying these guys. And again, my trainer, Victor James, he has me in the lab, we call it, every day. And so we getting work done. And so I feel very comfortable and confident the more that every day goes on as far as making the position switch. Lining up inside, a lot now in today's game is not like a traditional tight end anyways, which is, just handing the dirt. You're lining up slot. You might go outside wide, and it's just about creating mismatches. And so that's what excites me. And, again, I kind of consider myself a very nasty receiver. And so when it's time to block, I'm trying to put you in the dirt. And so in the words of my dad, put him in the dirt. And so,
right.
I look forward to it. And, the team reached out to me. The director of player personnel reached out to me. I believe it was probably like a week and a half now ago. And he just, let me know that he was interested in me and that they seen my film and they were impressed with it. And they believed that I could, create mismatches for them and help the offense out this upcoming season. And again, I was foaming at the mouth at the opportunity. And once I heard I could get this shot, I've been waiting to be in front of the right people and, show what I can do. Again, going back to having that chip on my shoulder. And, now that it's come true, we came to this point, it's just like, most people would consider it as a deep breath they can relieve now. My stress is no. Right, I'm taking it as, okay, I'm here with the same mindset of I need to prove not only that I belong, but that I'm better so that I can get ahead. And so I'm just excited and I feel really blessed and fortunate to be in this situation, but I feel as though I'm gonna maximize it.
Yeah, I mean, you get to come home, you get to be with you're going to be under a head coach that has been, has been mostly successful at offensive production in the NFL.
Right.
Many a years. I mean, even last year, if we want to talk about USFL in general, you're joining a team that led the league in passing yards.
Right.
Tampa Bay was very much air heavy. I feel, you're talking, you're getting an archetype where, you're practicing blocking, but they're bringing you in, it sounds like, for hands. And also I'm feeling like it's trying to be like a Kyle Pitts type of kind of archetype where it's like, I'm a tight end, but I'm not the traditional tight end. I am pretty much a receiver that's a bulkier version of that with some, a little bit of length on me.
Exactly. You said it best.
That's how I'm seeing it. And I think Bandits fans will be excited, whoever you're going to be practicing throws with. I know there's still some uncertainty with the contracts, but no matter what, Todd Haley's going to give you some opportunities as long as you like you're saying, work hard, which I have no doubt you will based on your background. I'm looking forward to see where you go this off season. What is the organization giving you any, and you don't have to, if you can't reveal anything, I understand, but have they given you any, check marks or checkpoints as to where this is where we're going to be here, then some point next year will be, of course, starting like April or so, like we're hearing. So, where are you at going next, I guess?
Well, I'm training right now in the process, and I just know that from the talks that I had with the team and certain staff members, camp will start in March.
Okay.
And so I'm in the phase where I'm doing everything I can to make sure come March that I'm more than ready for that moment and to seize that opportunity. And I got it marked on my calendar.
Nice.
As far as the scheduling for the season, I don't know. I'm not sure yet. They haven't told us about that. But within my contract, they let us know that in March we'll be reporting for camp.
Okay. Well, excited to see you report to camp here. Darrell, again, congrats on being signed on to the Bandits. And Bandits fans are going to be thrilled to have another weapon to bring to hopefully a playoff appearance this year, maybe even more.
That is the goal.
Just missed it. So definitely they're going to be hungrier next season. I can only imagine. But thank you for your time. Wishing you the best of luck, and hopefully have you on some other time, and we'll be talking about you as the season gets kicked off this April.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you taking time.